Fine, so we'll start with the day 2 of the training. I'll create a new Java project and name the project as day 2. Oops, what has happened? Yeah, day 2 next and finish. Alright, now in day 2 I'll create a class. Okay, say I create a class named as fruit.java. Okay, fruit.java I have created a class. This class is having nothing inside it, not even the main function. Okay, now what kind of properties can a fruit have? It can have a name. I'll declare some properties for fruit. Okay, then you can have, say, the price at which you buy it. Fine, so these are the two properties of fruit, right? Now why am I telling you this is because I'm going to tell you the concepts of object-oriented programming, which are used a lot in Selenium. So don't jump over to Selenium directly. Learn the concepts of hooks first. Alright. Now I'll create a new class. Okay. Say I'll name it as test.java with the main function. This is test.java. It's got the main function. That means this file can be executed. This class can be executed. Whatever class has got public static void main inside it, the main function, okay, that class, it can be executed. Okay, now I can put anything inside it like system.out.println or something. Okay, or whatever I want to write, I can write over here. Okay, I can also create an object of the fruit class over here by writing new fruit. Now what happens when I write this new fruit? What do you mean by creating the object of the class? Okay, technically what happens is that in the memory an object is formed like this. Okay, fruit object, and okay, Gangaram, I'll increase the font size, hold on. And that object has got two properties, name and price in it. Okay, right? Fine. Similarly, if I write new fruit two times, increase the font size as requested by Gangaram. Hold on. It's in preferences, general appearance, fonts, text font. I'll increase it to 18. Right. So I hope this is clear now. Fine. Now I will like as I told you, these are the two things, name and price. Okay. And if I create two objects, right? I've created two objects over here. What happens in the memory is that there will be two objects over here. Both of them will have name and price associated. Okay, but these are just hanging objects. You cannot access these objects. To access these objects, you need to create object references. You can write something like this: fruit f1 equals to this and fruit f2 equals to this. When you write like this, what happens is that in the memory you are creating references, right? Say this is my first reference which points towards the first fruit object. This is f1, and this is the second one, and this is known as f2. Fine. So there are two fruit objects, and f1 and f2 are references which point towards the object. f1 and f2 are not the object. Okay, object reference is different than object. Object reference points to the object and it helps you to extract values or change the values inside the object. Okay, what I can do is I can write clearly over here f1 dot say name is equal to say any fruit like papaya, right? F1 dot price is equal to 10, right? Similarly, F2 dot name you can put as say mango, and F2 dot price is 20. So the variables are same, name and price. If you look at this class, they are just two variables. But by creating different objects, okay, I can give different values to the variables for every object. Okay, so practically what happens in memory, right? This becomes say mango. Sorry, F1 becomes papaya and F2 becomes mango. Right? If you print, you can also print like F1 dot name printed and F2 dot name printed. When you run this, hold on, you have this getting printed. Okay. Now F1 and F2 are references. These are the objects. Okay. For example, if I write over here like this, fruit F3 equals to null. This line means that F3 is not pointing towards any object. Okay, F3 is just like a hanging reference in the memory which is not pointing towards anything. Okay, right? On the next line, if I write F3 equals to new fruit, then I can make it point towards a fruit object. Okay, a new fruit object, a third one which can be created, and F3 can have its own name and price as well, like I gave the name and price to the other fruits. Okay, so object reference is different and object is different. Okay, object reference points towards the object. Alright, now in fruit.java I can also have a function. For example, public void cell, and in this function you can write system.out.println selling fruit and the name of the fruit. So the cell function will also become the part for each and every object. Okay, the function cell will be present inside both f1, f2 and also f3, whatever object is f3 pointing towards. Okay, and I can call it from here. I can say f3 dot sorry f1 dot cell and f2 dot cell. Okay, when f1 calls its cell function, right, hold on, let me run this and show it to you. When I run this, it prints selling fruit papaya, selling fruit mango. When f1 calls its cell function, the cell function prints the name of f1 only. Okay, and when f2 calls the cell function, it prints the name for f2 only. I hope these points are very clear to you and you are able to understand. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, right? So in Selenium as well, okay, you don't do, there is no rocket science involved, everything is inbuilt. Okay, everything is inbuilt. You don't need to make anything from your side, you just need to use the existing classes and make the objects of those classes. Okay, the question is on this line, what does this mean? F3 equals to null means that F3 is not pointing towards any object. It is just a hanging reference in the memory like this. Okay, it is not pointing towards any object. Okay, then in the next line I have pointed it towards an object. You can also do like this. Okay, alright. Do we need to give the same name? I can't understand you, Vijay. I can't understand you. Alright. So in Selenium you will not have everything we are, yeah, you have to give the same name whatever object you need to create. If I need to create the object of the fruit class, then I'll have to write new fruit over here like this. Okay, alright. Okay, so you can access the Amar, you can access the other variables from the other file as well. This is separate Java file, this is separate Java file. By creating the object of this class fruit.java in the other file, I can access them. Okay, this is how Java works. Test.java is different file. Okay, from the different file I have created the object of different class fruit which is in the other file. You can do that in Java. Okay. Now in Selenium, what happens? Let me introduce Selenium in this project. Let me include Selenium jar file. I'll right click on the project and go to the properties. I'll add the jar files for Selenium. Yeah, you cannot run fruit.java. Why you cannot run fruit.java? Because it's got no main function, nothing. To execute a file, you need to have the main function. Okay, right? So I have this reference libraries. In this, I have a lot of jar files. Okay, right. In these jars, like a lot of classes are present from Selenium API. Okay, now if I visit the website, seleniumhq.org. Okay, and I go to the download section and I look at the Java documentation. Fine. Now in Java documentation, all classes. These are all the classes on the left side which are present in the jars. There are many classes. Okay, and you need to create objects of these classes to work with Selenium. Look, nobody knows everything. Okay, even I am not aware of all these classes. Okay, but when I have a requirement, I look at them. Fine. For example, you have, hold on. You have a class known as Firefox Driver. Let's start with this one. Many of you must have heard of it. Okay, alright. Um, Now what this does, if I take this and make a new class, okay, Selenium sample. Smita, that comes with experience. How do I know that which class I have to use? That comes with experience only. Okay. So Firefox driver is one of the classes over here. Okay. Now if it's present, where it is present, it's present somewhere in the jar files. Okay. If I create the object of this class, new Firefox driver, and you need to import this class from the jar files. You need to move your mouse over this and select the option import Firefox driver, and that will be imported on the top. Okay. Now if you run this, you'll observe that a blank Firefox window will open. You see that? Just by creating the object of this inbuilt class Firefox Driver, a blank Firefox window has opened up. Right? If I write something like this, Firefox Driver d1 equals to this. So what I'm doing, I'm giving an object reference to Firefox Driver. Okay, d1 is the reference to Firefox Driver. Okay, now with reference I can access the features of this class, like in test.java with reference f1 f2 I was accessing the features of the fruit class, right? Okay, f1.name, f1.price. With f1 over here, sorry, with driver d1 I can access. If I write d1 dot, you will get lot of functions which are available with Firefox Driver. These are inbuilt from inside Firefox Driver class. For example, one of the functions is get. You type the URL where you have to go. Okay, for example, I want to open the browser and go to google.com. Fine. When you run this, it will open up a browser and try to go to google.com. See, it opens up the browser, and after that, it will not work this time. Hold on. Yeah, after that, you'll see that you'll get an error. Look, whenever you get an error like this, it's known as exception. Don't worry, just read the first line. The first line says that malformed URL. Okay, right? Now, always be very particular that when you're working with Selenium, you have to mention the protocol. In QTP, it's not necessary, but in Selenium, it is necessary. Okay, right? Smita, you have to navigate to a website, you need to click on links. Okay, if I just write this thing, how will you navigate to the website? You need the reference to call the functions on the Firefox driver. The reference will be pointing towards the Firefox driver. This is the Firefox driver in the object class. This is the Firefox driver object. D1 is pointing towards it. With D1 you can manage, you can call the internal components of this Firefox driver. Okay, so when you write d1.get to this URL, the browser will navigate to the URL. If you run this, you'll see that a browser will open. See that it's on Google, right? If you want to close the browser in the end, you can write d1.quit. This will end the session. When you run this, it will close the browser in the end. So with d1 you can fire the various functions which are there inside the Firefox driver. I think it's over. It got opened, it got closed, the browser was minimized. Anyways, right. Okay, so this was a very simple example. You create the object of this class, okay, and then you can use the functions through the object, right? Okay, now coming back to fruit.java. These were the two variables in fruit.java. This was the function fruit.java. Right. Now every class can also have some static components. Okay, right? For example, static, I write over here. um, string type. Fine. So this is a variable which I have declared static. Now what is the meaning of static? Alright, why do I make something static? Okay, coming over to test.java, where I had created the variables f1 and f2, the references to the objects of fruit class. Hold on, these were the two object references which I had created, right? F1 was pointing towards the first object and F2 was pointing towards the second object. Fine. Each object had the name and the price inside it. Okay, this is clear, right? With F1 and F2 I was able to access the name and the price. Okay, but in case if I make something static, then it will no longer be the part of the object. Okay, static stuff will reside somewhere at a common location in the memory. Okay, type variable will be over here. It will be common for all the objects. No matter how many objects if I create a third object like F3, it will be common for all of them. Okay, right? And you don't need to create the object of the class to access them. You can directly write over here fruit dot type equals to say Indian fruits. So all the fruits objects will be of the type Indian fruits. You don't need to create the object of the class to access static things, but to access the other ones which are technically known as non-static. This is technically known as non-static and this is technically known as static. Okay, non-static variable, static variable. To access the non-static variable of a class, you need to create the object of that class. I had to create the object of the fruit class over here to access name and price from the fruit. Okay, I had to create the object of Firefox Driver to access the get and the quit functions. If I would not created this object, Firefox wouldn't have opened and I couldn't have accessed the get and quit functions. But there are some things which are static inside Firefox Driver. If I write just Firefox Driver dot, you will see there are various things inside this class which are static. Some properties of the class are static which you can directly access with the class name dot. Okay. For the others, you will have to create the object of the class like this. Okay. Is this clear? Because out here I've seen people with 5 years of experience also not knowing what is the difference between static and non-static and they get confused. Okay, in nutshell, static is something which can be accessed directly with the name of the class dot, and non-static is something which you can directly access by creating the object of the class. Okay, I hope I am making myself very clear with this. Alright, now moving forward from here. I hope this thing is clear to you. What is the difference in static, non-static? Okay? Why do we need static variables? Because sometimes there are some properties which you don't want to keep them at the object level. For example, type. Every object will have the same type. Indian fruit. So why do you want to create a separate variable inside each and every object and initialize it? You can just put over here fruit.type is Indian fruits. That's it. Are you getting my point, Ruchika? Okay. Alright. Fine. Okay. Now this was about Firefox Driver. So that means that static variables are global. All the variables, yeah, static variables are kind of common variables. Not you can say global. They're kind of common for everybody. Okay. Yeah, you can initialize it in the beginning only. Wherever, like you can. Yeah, that's not a problem. You can initialize it in the beginning, or you can initialize it over here only. Generally, we initialize the static variables on the fly only, like this. Indian fruits, whatever you want. So by default, all the fruits will be Indian. Okay. So something which is common for all the objects, you keep it static, right? Something which is common for all the objects of a class, you keep that stuff static. You don't keep it inside the object. Okay. Right. Now this is the Firefox Driver class I created. I access some functions inside it. Now for Chrome, there is another class known as Chrome Driver. You create the object of this class. Okay. Now what happens is that the moment you create the object, you also need to import it. Fine. And if you run this, it will throw you an error. For everybody, it will throw an error. Look, don't get afraid of the exception which comes up. Technically, it is known as exception. Okay. Read it. It's saying that the path to driver executable must be set by this property. Okay. Even if I'm not able to understand what it is, right? What I do is that I copy the first line of the exception and I simply go to Google. Hold on. You simply go to Google and paste it. So what you will get the solutions for this error, and that's how you can solve it. Okay. I have also learned it like this. Whenever ever error comes, just search on Google about the error, what it means, and how do you fix it. Okay. Now, how do you fix this is through a certain way. You cannot just directly initialize the Chrome driver. Okay. What you need to do is that you need to go to the seleniumhq.org in the download section, right? You will see third party browsers not developed by Selenium HQ. Under that you will have Chrome. Fine. Uh, Click on 2.4 over here. It will take you to here. And right now 2.6 is also there. Okay. Let me get 2.6. You need to download a zip file for Chrome, depending on your operating system or something. Right? I'll download it for Windows. I have Windows, and you download it. Hold on. For Chrome, you have to do this thing and extract here. You will have this Chrome driver.exe file. Okay, keep it somewhere in your PC. Like I'll keep it in my G drive. Chrome driver.exe. I have it. Okay, and what you need to do is that you need to write over here system.setProperty. Say it is saying that the path to driver executable must be set by this property webdriver.chrome.driver. Sorry, and the path you give as the path to the exe file, that is G drive. Chrome driver dot exe. Look, you have to set the system property. Now system is the internal class inside Java, and set property is a static function inside it. That's why I am able to access it directly. System dot set property. I don't have to create the object of this class. Okay, right? Set property. If you move your mouse over it, you see the declaration: public static string set property. Okay. Now system.set property WebDriver.Chrome.driver, and this is the exe path of the Chrome driver which you have downloaded from the website seleniumhq.org. Now if you run this, you will see Chrome will open up successfully. See that? Okay, right? If you want to navigate somewhere, you can write d2.get. Same protocol is important. Yahoo.com. Fine. If you run this, it will open up Chrome and take you to yahoo.com. Hold on. You see that? Now, in case of Chrome, there's a problem. If you don't close it properly, then in your processes you will always find Chrome driver.exe running. Okay, right? You'll have to close it like this. So if you want to make sure that exe gets closed in the end, you will have to quit the driver. You'll have to close the driver. This basically will close the exe and prevent Chrome from using your system memory. Okay, so when you run this, it will open Chrome, go to Yahoo, and in the end it will close the exe as well. Okay, you don't need to execute the exe which you have downloaded, right? You just need to keep that exe file at a particular location, make sure Chrome is installed on your machine, right? And then simply see it closes, right? And you simply have to set system property. Okay, right? For IE is another type of driver. You can write. Look, for IE there are various configurations. I am having a Windows XP machine, but these days everybody has got Windows 7 or 8. Okay. Now the first thing is that you need to make the protected mode for IE at same level. Okay. Yeah, Ruchika is asking a question. Can you please tell the use of set property again? Look, set property, what it does, it sets a system property. Okay, you need to give the path of Chrome driver.exe. You need to set it in the system before you initialize Chrome driver. This is how Chrome driver is made. So that's why I use the function system.setProperty. System is the internal class and set property is the function inside the class which sets the system property. Okay, it's a static function. Right. To work on Internet Explorer, again you have to download a separate exe. If you look at the, hold on, seleniumhq.org. If you go over here, go to download section. For Internet Explorer driver, you have to again download an exe based on whether you have got 32-bit or 64-bit IE. Okay. Okay, Smita is asking the question, what is the key? The key, this is the key. WebDriver.Chrome.driver. If I don't give the path, what happens? When you run this, you get an error. And in the error, it is telling you that the path to driver executable must be set by this property. So this is actually the key. Okay, right? Similarly, for Internet Explorer as well, 32-bit IE or 64-bit IE, whatever you want, you can download. For example, I have got 32-bit. You download 32-bit and hold on. hold on, right, you extract it. This is iDriver server. Okay, keep it in your G drive, right? And all you need to do is that you need to set the system property again. You need to write system.set property. In case of I, you need to write WebDriver dot instead of Chrome I dot driver. Now many times people write capital or something. Look, don't do that. Java is a case sensitive language. It has to be in the lower case, and the path to the exe file of I which you have downloaded, iDriverServer.exe. Okay, for I you have to set this system property firstly. Secondly, in case of Windows 7 or Windows 8, you need to have the protected mode in I. Hold on, at same level. If I show you with the help of some images or something, you'll realize. Just give me 1 minute. When you open your IES and you go to your IE settings, many of you will get a window like this in the Internet Explorer options, tools options. Under security, you will have these four: internet, local internet, rested and restricted. Okay, hold on, this thing is not having. Just a minute. Just 1 minute. Yes, this is the kind of window you'll get. Hold on. I'm not able. Yeah, in this all the four zones, make sure that this level. Okay, this is the leveler over here in all the four zones: internet, local internet, rested and restricted. Make sure that this level is at the same location for all of them. I just turn it off, but if you don't want to turn it off, make sure it is at the same level for all the four of these options. Okay, for I you also need to make sure about this, and then you can create the object of the internal class Internet Explorer Driver dr d3 equals to new Internet Explorer Driver, and it will simply open IE. And if you run this, you see that it runs on the local host like a proxy. Fine. If you want to go somewhere on the website, you can write driver.get to the URL http gmail.com and d3.quit and all, whatever you want to do. Okay, right? So these are the first three browsers which almost everybody wants to work on: IE, Chrome and Firefox. Fine. Apart from there, support for Safari is also there. Safari driver is also there. Okay. Sham, it's made like that. She's asking a question: why are Chrome and IE different? It's made like that. Okay. Something which is from their side only, Selenium side. Okay. The Safari driver is also there, but for that there are two things. First of all, you need to register as a developer with Apple on their website. Fine. Secondly, it's not so stable. Some things they don't work on Safari drivers. For example, pop-up management and all that stuff. Okay, if you have multiple windows open, how to manage multiple windows, close the pop-ups. So all that stuff is little bit risky on Safari driver. Apart from this, you have also got Android driver. Now Android driver, it actually is for the phone, Android phone. Okay, so right, and it will not test your Android applications. It will test how the website is working in Android. okay, on the phone, how the website will work. You can also test it on an emulator. You can, like in the module number 43, I have explained it. People who have access to the videos, I gave access to some people yesterday who registered. You can look at the last module, Android driver. Okay, in this I've shown like how you can install the emulator and work with Android driver as well. Okay, for iPhone you have got iPhone driver, but you need to have the license for that. Okay, and again it will only test your websites, it will not test your applications and all. There is also something known as HTML unit driver. I'll just show you. You create the object of this class. Now what it does, it tests without opening browser. Okay, over here if I write d4 dot go to the URL http gmail.com and d4 dot quit in the end, and when you run this you'll not see any browser opening up. Okay, you'll not see any browser opening up, but behind the scenes what happens is that Selenium HTML unit driver, it sends the request to the server, it gets the response, it works on the page source basically. Okay, many of you might not be able to understand this. Okay, but it works. It sends the hidden request to the server, gets the response in the hidden format, and it works. The advantage for this driver is that firstly it is very fast. It is very fast. You just have to click the button, it will execute very fast. Secondly, so suppose like sometimes you don't have the browser. For example, on a Unix machine, if you want to execute all your script on a Unix machine, on Unix shell there is no browser. It's a screen like the command prompt. You don't have any browser over there. Okay, so Unix machine will look something like this command prompt. So you create the HTML unit driver over there and execute. So you don't need a browser with HTML unit driver. Okay, right. So there's a question being asked, like what browsers on Android, since there are so many. The default browser which comes up with Android, Jesse. The default one which comes up with Android. The normal Internet Explorer on Android. Not Internet Explorer, but Explorer on Android. Okay, right. So we studied about various drivers, but now the question arises that suppose there is a website, okay, and I need to click on some link on that website. Will the command for clicking on the link on the website or to interact with the components on the website, will that be different for each and every driver? Will Firefox driver have to click on a link in a different way than Chrome driver and iDriver? Well, the answer to this question lies in the concept of interfaces in Java language, which I'll not take today. I think it's more than enough. Okay, I'll stop here for today.